WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5, Milwaukee.
Coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show,
we're going to talk about urban gardening, getting the most out of the small space that you have.
As well as 6 bugs that are not your friend in your summer garden.
And we have host of the Organic Gardener Radio Show from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Doug Oster. He's also an author.
As well as your questions. Tell your gardening friends that Garden Radio is on the air because it all starts right now.
You're tuned in to the only vegetable gardening radio show in Milwaukee with your host, Joey Baird, who grew up in the country but now lives closer to the city, and Hallie Baird, who has always been a city girl. Combined, they have over 25 years of gardening experience who believe in simple gardening practices. A gardener for all gardeners, founders of the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, where they created over 800 how-to garden videos to teach others how to grow more of what they eat. Join them for the next hour as they discuss vegetable gardening and more.
It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on 860 AM WNOV and W293CX 106.5. Wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, whether it's on those stations, the TuneIn app, the Simple Radio app, the radio tab on the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com website, social media, or anywhere in between, we are live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am your host, Joey Barrett. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com is your destination for all things gardening. 850-plus videos, short and long format. Email, you can find there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and a whole lot more, all for free, all to help you. Well, what helps us come to you every Saturday morning are great companies that sponsor this program.
Nasala Kombucha is the executive sponsor of the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Nasala is made in Wisconsin with your local tea and natural herbs. Look for it in the refrigerator aisle at your local grocer. If you don't see it, ask for it, because if it's not Nasala Kombucha, it's not kombucha. For more information, visit Nasala.com. And I want to remind everybody we are open for calls throughout the whole show. Whether you have a question or a comment, you can reach us on the Ivy Organic hotline. Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damage, sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivorganics.com. And again, that number is 414-444-5250.
And we're going to use a little bit of Ivy Organics today on the cherry bush that I got you that we're going to plant in the front yard at the garden. Other ways you can contact us using a hashtag TWVG on the Twitter machine. Just send a tweet and use hashtag TWVG. You can also email us at twvgradio@gmail.com, and we can acknowledge that, as well as you can email us anytime, anywhere, any day on that email, and we will get an answer to you. Well, we had a great turnout at Mequon this past Tuesday night, Mequon Public Library, as we talked about straw bale gardening, as well as a really good turnout for Holly's presentation on basics of canning up at Random Lake. So for those individuals who are listening for the first time today, welcome. We appreciate you tuning in, and thank you for coming. We've got a lot of talks this coming week, so get a pencil and a pad of paper down, and you can also just find this all under the Come See Us tab on our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. May 16th, that's this Tuesday, we will be at West Allis Public Library talking about, Holly says I says West Allis wrong. I don't know. I'm a Southern boy, so.
You say it like you're supposed to say it. Like I say it real fast, like West Allis.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be there at the West Allis Public Library at 7 p.m. talking about maximizing your garden no matter the space. Wednesday night at 7 p.m. we'll be at St. Francis Public Library, 7 p.m., talking on the same subject, maximizing your garden no matter the space. And then Thursday night we will be at Wauwatosa.
Wauwatosa.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Or Tosa.
Tosa.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m., talking about 10 common problems you're going to face in your vegetable garden this year and how to fix them. It's really not 10. I think we've got like 17 on the presentation, but you get 10 for free and the other 7 are bonuses. So, with that being said, we've got if you got a garden talk group organization that you want to go, for us to come talk at, you can certainly come, you can email us at twvgradio@gmail.com. You can also click on the, speaking request tab on the website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. So a number of ways in which we can talk at your gathering, no matter, and if you have a specific topic you want us to talk gardening, we can certainly do that. Well, we've got a jam-packed show today, and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about planting in urban spaces. Many of you are, and just like us, we don't have acreages or farms in which we can grow the produce in which we want to eat, can, preserve, or sell. So by planting in small spaces or maximizing the spaces in which you have available to plant, you can get more out of it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about different scenarios, different methods of planting. We're going to really focus on those tight spaces today. If you have no space, if you just have a balcony, porch, deck, patio, maybe you have a little corner in the yard, we're going to look at all of the options here to give you more of a confidence that, hey, you can grow something no matter where you're at. So the first thing we want to address is one of our sponsors. They have a great tool, the Greenstock Grow Tower.
Yeah, so the Greenstock Grow Tower, it only takes up 2 square feet of space, but because of its system, it grows in tiers. So there's anywhere from 3 to 5 tiers, and you can do anywhere from 3 tier is 18 planting pockets, 4 is 24 planting pockets, and 5 is 30 planting pockets.
Now, we're not telling you to go buy it. We're just making you aware that is a product that's out there. And if you want to see how this product works, just go on YouTube and type in Greenstock Grow Tower. There are dozens of videos that show how universal and how productive that particular device is that you can grow in. Now, other ways you can plant in urban spaces, if you don't want to choose that route, is you can use a straw bale. A straw bale garden. We had Joel Carson on the first program. You can find that underneath the radio tab on the website, and you can revisit that interview. You can grow in a straw bale. There is a conditioning process. The book goes over it. We go over it a little bit in the interview. But that is essentially the equivalent of 14 cubic feet of soil. You can grow it at the top. You can grow it on the sides. You can use it on a patio, porch, balcony. If you got the balcony thing is a little questionable because if you got people underneath you, they're going to get wet, and all their property is going to get wet.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
The beautiful thing about the straw bale is you're not virtually going to have any weeds. So if that's something that you're like, I would love to have a garden. However, no matter where you live, you're like, I just don't want to deal with weeds. Well, straw bale gardening is definitely an option for you.
Another option is a window box or a hanging box. These are small boxes in which you can hang off your window or attach to the window on the outer portion. You open the window up, and it's anywhere from 18 to 24 inches long by 6 to 8 inches wide. 8 inches deep, and you can plant a variety of different things. Now, obviously, we want to be, common sense here. A window box is not going to sustain a pumpkin or a watermelon, something like that. You may be able to get a couple of what they call cherry varieties or bush varieties or compact tomatoes in that box. Even the hanging, topsy-turvy tomato planter. It's not really designed for massive production, but you can hang it on your porch, or a porch would be best, or somewhere where you can get a lot of sunlight.
Basically, if you wanted some tomatoes every once in a while for a salad or something.
Yeah, it will produce, but you got to keep it watered. And light requirements, it's important to use light. You have to have a lot of light no matter where we're at on any of these devices. So
you want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you're growing in something good for your plant. So potting mix is ideal because it's mixed with peat and perlite to hold moisture and allow airflow for your plants in an enclosed container. And we want to, if we're going to grow in containers, obviously, here's the little word problem or little saying you want to keep in mind. Smaller the soil, quicker it dries out. So if you can get a large container, 15, 20, 30-gallon grow bag, something of that nature, the more mass of soil in which you have in that container, the slower that container dries out. A gallon container of soil dries out much, much quicker than 5 gallons. So it's basic physics, I guess, is the terminology used, or it dries out quicker, so you want to keep that in mind. So you want something that does have some water retention. If you're looking at a potting mix, that's the white, perlite or vermiculite. Those have some water retaining capabilities. You can also go with self-watering containers as well. One thing you'll see when you do research on urban planting or small planting is you can grow in a gutter. Simply, people will do this. They'll put a gutter up on the fence or the side of the house or on a device, close the ends off, and they'll put soil in it. Now, most of you know how deep a gutter is that's on the side of your house. Don't do this.
because by the time you get the seeds planted and you water it and walk in the house, that thing's already dry because you're working with about 2 inches or 3 inches of soil. It's absolutely, it doesn't work.
Now, this is not to be confused with the
rain gutter grow system. That's a totally different.
That's totally different. This is actually literally planting your seeds and soil in a gutter.
And people will do this with leaf lettuce. Some people will do this with strawberries. Again, strawberries don't understand that because strawberries will last 5 to 7 years. And it just don't do it. You're going to be very disappointed with the end result. Easy access to these boxes, a salad box. I mean, right now, it's iffy to get leaf lettuce planted right now outdoors because the days are getting longer, and plants, the early plants, or what they call cool season plants that you plant in the spring and fall, will go to seed or go to bolt whenever, and they put a flower on when the days get longer. They notice this. That's part of their reproduction system. As the days get long, they put seed pod on. They die off. That's how that works. So it's
but you can plant lettuce in the fall.
In the fall, yeah. Also, if you have a good type of device, you can plant it in a windowsill in the kitchen, and your temperatures are going to be relatively close enough, and the day is not. You're not going to get enough sunlight in there. You could probably make that work a little bit.
Another thing you can think about is a lot of people will plant on fire escapes. If you live in a larger city, you have the option. That's definitely an idea. Or just utilizing, like Joy had mentioned, space inside your home. Or you could even do something where maybe you have like a garage at your apartment or condo. You can put something on wheels, wheel it out during the day, and then maybe wheel it back in at night.
One thing I forgot to mention is the old, friendly, familiar hanging basket. Mother's Day is coming around. A lot of you moms are going to get flowers, and I will guess that a lot of you will forget to water them in about a week, and the plants will die, or the flowers will do their little thing in the end. Dump that soil out, put new soil in. We've grown a lot of things in hanging baskets. Herbs work great. Hang them outside the door. You can get a little bracket, or you just set them on the porch patio or the street. Just keep them watered.
We grew that one bush cherry tomato.
Yeah, bush cherry tomato worked very well.
Basket.
Yeah, so that's something you can do. And again, we want to get the standard about 14-inch hanging basket. We don't want to get the little 4 or 6 inch. And they come in varieties. And for those of you who are thrifty like we are, wait about 2 weeks from now, after Mother's Day is over. Moms will forget to water, and some of these places.
You're insulting a lot of moms right now.
Well, that we all forget to water, and you know just like I know.
Maybe it's not mom's fault. Maybe it's her husband's fault.
Okay.
Father's fault, who's supposed to water the
I think
plant.
That's a different show on the station here. All right. But anyway, go around on junk day. You'll see these thrown out on the curb. Pick them up. Wash them out with a soapy water. Don't use that soil. And then you can put your good potting mix in it and grow your herbs or your compact tomatoes in it. So that works out very well. We've done that, like Holly said, and it worked really, really good.
Another option you have, even if you don't want to get soil and you want something fresh to grow, and this is something you can do all year round or during the winter, is you can sprout seeds. And you can sprout things like broccoli or radish seeds. And then it gives you those...
We're talking sprouts.
Yeah, sprouts, basically. Right. And it's just something fresh and raw to eat. And
you pay dearly for this in the store. And you'll get this, like if you go to a Subway, sub sandwich place, you'll see you have the option of sprouts. That's what we're talking about. But there's certain sprouts that are good, and there's other sprouts that, do some research. We tried to do squash sprouts.
They were so bitter.
It was but that's how we learned.
Tasty. Yeah, exactly.
That's how we learned. So with that, what else can we do? Have we forgot anything on this? But again, we want to keep in mind, we want to have plenty of sunlight or adequate sunlight for the crop in which you're growing. Herbs, you can get away with 4 or 5 hours. Tomatoes, you want, if you're doing that compact tomato, you want full sun if you can.
I think we forgot about we grow that dwarf lime tree indoors, and that doesn't require any outdoor growing space, and it's done well indoors.
Now, again, we're not producing limes like
Matt. It produces limes, but it's enough for, just having an occasional.
And also it helps purify the air indoors, too, because it's pulling the air, cleaning the air, too. So hopefully that inspires you to be a little creative and think out of the box in what you can grow. Even if you're limited to very little or maybe no space, there's always options to grow. When we come back, we are going to discuss 6 bugs in your vegetable garden that are not your friends. There's a lot of good friends in your vegetable garden. We're going to talk about 6 of them that are not your friends right after this.
Have a gardening question? Email Joey and Holly at twvgradio@gmail.com.
Do you have a little space to grow? Check out Greenstock Vertical Gardens at greenstockgarden.com. Greenstock is engineered to grow with its innovative space and water-saving design. You can grow vegetables, flowers, herbs, and even strawberries in just 2 square feet of space. Grow up instead of out. Perfect for the porch, patio, or deck. Grow up to 30 plants in a small space. GreenstockGarden.com has everything you need to grow in the littlest of spaces. Proudly made in the USA. For more information and to purchase, visit greenstockgarden.com. Beans and Barley Market and Cafe, a neighborhood specialty grocery store for the East Side and Greater Milwaukee area, where you can find all you need, from fresh produce to bakery to organic frozen dinners, from wine to fresh squeezed carrot juice. A health food store with hundreds of products, vitamins, supplements, bath and body items, magazines, cards, books, and a knowledgeable staff. Catering available, open daily at 8 a.m. The restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week with a menu of good, healthy, homemade food, including vegetarian and non-vegetarian specialties. 1901 East North Avenue, Milwaukee, 414-278-7878, and online at beansandbarley.com. Really Granola is a small batch Wisconsin-made granola available at reallygranola.com. This granola uses many organic ingredients and features Wisconsin products such as beautiful red Wisconsin cranberries, local honey, and other delicious Wisconsin products. You'll find plenty of fiber and protein in Really Granola, which makes it a great way to start or end your day. This granola is baked in a Wisconsin co-packing kitchen that helps to employ disabled workers. Find Really Granola near you or to buy online, visit reallygranola.com. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus from PlantSuccess.com that will greatly increase your plant's germination ability and a healthier root structure. You can increase seed sprouting, root growth, and general plant germination. Mycorrhizae can be used with hydroponics, root cutting, seed sprouting, coco coir, and soil. PlantSuccess.com carries powder, granule, and tablet forms of mycorrhizae. Increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil for your plants to give them the optimal opportunity to produce an incredible harvest. For more information and to purchase, visit PlantSuccess.com.
Hi, I'm John Lewandowski, Retail Manager of Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center. Now, I'm not going to tell you about our awesome dome-grown plants, our beautiful pottery, or our 40 varieties of landscape materials. What I am going to tell you is that Blue Mel's is a local, independent, family-owned garden center that truly cares about your garden or landscape project. So if you're looking for that one garden center that actually cares about you, come to Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center. We've been treating our customers like family since 1955.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden hosts Joey and Holly Baird.
It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, your destination for all things gardening, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, 855, 60 videos, somewhere in that range, all for you, all to help you grow more of what you enjoy and want to eat, and that's and a whole lot more for free. Well, Holly, one thing you can get that is healthy is peaches and blueberries drove right to your neighborhood, and just a matter of a couple of weeks here in the Milwaukee area.
If you like fresh produce delivered right to your neighborhood, you should check out Tree Ripe Citrus Company. You can find out where to pick up top quality produce from tree-ripe.com. They have beautiful, tasty peaches and juicy, sweet blueberries. If you're sick of bland, mealy peaches and lackluster blueberries from your local grocer, Tree Ripe has what you need. They come right to a stop in your neighborhood, fresh off the truck, right from the source. For location and schedules, visit tree-ripe.com. They have locations all over, including Iowa, Upper Iowa, and Lower Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, and right here in Wisconsin. Tree-Ripe is your go-to for the freshest produce around.
And we always are pleased with what we get. You get about a bushel. Or you get a bushel whenever you go and pick them up.
It's a half bushel.
Half bushel. Okay. And works out very well.
You can get a bushel, but you...
The standard is a bushel, or half bushel. The standard is a half bushel.
You can get as many boxes as you want.
Right. So let's talk about 6 bugs that are not your friends in your vegetable garden. There's a lot of bugs that are good, and we may touch on that one of these days, but it's more that we need to know what's bad versus what's good, because the good will take care of everything. So we're going to talk about 6 bugs here. Now, some of these try to be very descriptive, and if you want to note these down so you can go back to your favorite search engine and search what these things look like, and this may be the culprit of past problems in your garden. One is the tomato hornworm, or the corn earworm, or the cabbage worm. Those are 3 different bugs. That's just one of the 6 that we're talking about. These are the hornworm, whenever you discover you have the hornworm, it looks up as if somebody has come in right a day or two before your tomatoes ripe and has ate around or devoured the whole tomato.
That's a tomato hornworm.
Right. And these are very difficult to spot. Some people are able just to walk out to the garden and find them. We have not been able to do that. They say they illuminate with a flashlight. I've been in the garden at night with a flashlight, can't find them. But what you can do here, a preventive measure, is put bird feeders in your garden or put posts with tuna cans and fill them with birdseed. What this does, it brings in birds to feed off the birdseed. And birds have incredible eyesight. They look for insects, they eat worms, that type of thing, and they'll actually find the hornworms that are eating your tomato plants. And that works very well.
It worked for us.
And people will say, oh, but I don't want birds in my garden because they'll peck holes in my tomatoes. Well, the reason why birds peck holes in fruits, not just tomatoes, is because they're thirsty. So if you're getting this occurring in your garden, put a bird bath up, put some device up, some kind of tub in which they can get water, and then they kind of take care of the problem. Another thing is, if you've had that problem last year, don't plant the tomatoes in the same spot this year, as well as that spot in which the tomatoes were last year. Till that soil up. Use a garden fork, use a shovel, just disturb that soil, because the larvae, and I dug a larva up, and I didn't know what it was, and I should have took a picture of it last week. You disturb the level in which that larvae is buried over the winter,
right,
and messes it up.
Yeah, the larvae is buried at a certain depth, and if you mess it up, it's not going to survive.
The cornworm is whenever you pull the ear of corn, the husk back, and you see that little green worm eating the kernels. That is what the cornworm is. And the cabbage worm is that little green, cute little green worm that devours the leaves of your cabbage plants, your brassica plants, can just destroy a plant in a matter of just a short period of probably a day or so. What are some ways in which we can get rid of these?
So, as you had mentioned, you can do for the hornworm, the trick with the birdseed.
Mm-hmm.
You can use BT, and so you can use spray or powder BT, but if it rains, you do have to reapply that every time after it rains. Or if you do have chickens, you can let the chickens loose in your garden, and they usually will find those worms and eat them.
But you got to be careful with the chickens, because sometimes they like to eat other things besides what you're wanting them to eat.
So this one says, if you have the cornworm, you can pinch the top of the ear with a rubber band to help keep them out.
Prevent it out, yeah. But also now with sweet corn, growing sweet corn in the garden, it really is a decision of the gardener. We were able to finally successfully grow sweet corn in our garden, and there's videos on the website of that. This year we have decided not to grow sweet corn because Holly can get the non-GMO organic sweet corn for $3 for a dozen ears, and there's no way in the world that I can grow it that cheaply, and I can take that space in which that corn would have grown and produce 40, 50, 60 pounds of tomatoes or other produce, beans in that same spot. Another thing in which we are not happy to see in the garden is aphids.
And aphids will...
You'll get this in your grow room, too, right. And I've got some on peppers that I've got sitting on the porch right now.
And that's happened to us a few times with the peppers.
It's in the soil.
Right. So aphids they can be anywhere from green to brown to yellow, mainly, sometimes white. And they are tiny little bugs that basically are little vampires for your plants. They suck the life out of your plants.
They suck the juice out. They don't devour the leaves or gnaw down the stem, but you will flip. They typically live under the leaf. And we have the problem indoors. We very rarely ever have had the problem outdoors. And when we did, we just let it go because ladybugs are a big enjoyer of eating aphids. And we just let it go, and within a week the aphids were gone. You can also blast them with soapy water, spray mist.
That does work. Soapy water usually does work.
But you got to be gentle because some of these plants, like these pepper seedlings we have, are gentle, and you can blow the leaves right off, and then you've got a stalk with no, it's a dead plant at that point. So aphids or something other.
You could also use neem oil, but you want to make sure you get the cold pressed neem oil. So not just any old neem oil. You want to make sure it's cold pressed. Another
problem you're going to have that we have been very fortunate that not to have, and we had this brought up to us a couple of weeks ago in West Bend, is the Colorado potato beetle. This is a bug that is not your friend when it comes to growing potatoes in your garden.
So it's kind of orangish with black stripes, and it's I don't know, probably about the size of your pinky nail.
Yeah, it resembles a very oversized ladybug, I guess would be the best description of size.
And so the best way that we've heard to get rid of them is to pick them off your plants and squash them. That's all you can really do. I guess if you were to see some sort of
if you see the eggs, if you can find the eggs under the leaves, you can remove that leaf. But that's about the only way.
If it's a known problem for you, then it would be good to be proactive and look for them before they become a problem.
And again, there are chemical applications for many of these problems. But again, remember, what you spray on your plant, you are going to eat. So if you keep it clean and safe and organic, you're not ingesting chemicals. Now, because we ingest enough chemicals as it is involuntarily. So if we're going to grow our own food, we want to be as healthy as possible. Another one that is very prevalent, not so much here, there are some outbreaks of it, is the Japanese beetle. That is really big. Where I'm from in southern Illinois, you will get several weeks of just the swarm of Japanese beetles.
And those things bite.
Those will bite.
Yeah.
There are some measures. I read an article last week on the plants that they're being eaten. Use baby powder, but you have to reapply. Okay. Now, I don't know how effective that is. That came from a relatively reliable source. Also, if you can go to the store and get these pheromone traps, and you put in your yard and it attracts them.
But people feel like it attracts more.
Well, yeah, if you've got a problem,
then it's going to.
And you put this pheromone trap to attract Japanese beetles in the middle of your garden, what happens? Every Japanese beetle in the neighborhood comes to your garden for that pheromone, and in the process of going in the trap, what are they doing? They're eating more produce. And
so you put it in your neighbor's yard.
You put it in your neighbor's yard. That would probably be the best thing, especially when the neighbor's not home and they don't know what's going on. That would work. Not recommended, but you do what you want to do. But yeah, that's another thing that really can eat and devour. Down south, and it's a little bit up here, bush beans or beans, they're really heavy on. The leaves, they really devour the leaves. What else do we have, Holly?
We have the cutworm.
The cutworm.
I'm not super familiar with the cutworm, but I know it does.
I'm happy that we don't have a lot of these problems.
So it's about 1 inch long. It's kind of gray or black, and it's segmented, so it looks like, I don't know, probably like a mealworm almost, but gray or black. Yeah.
Divisions in the actual body.
Yeah. And they do, they can travel throughout North America, so they could show up, and you could handpick the cutworms off the plants, or you could even delay planting. I guess they kind of show up earlier in the season. Right.
Let's see, what was squash vine borer is another one, squash moth. This is a bad bug in which the parent plant, or the parent bug, will actually dig a hole into the bottom of the stalk of the zucchini plant or your squash plants, and it looks like you took a little tiny drill bit and there's like the sawdust of it. What they've done is they've burrowed in there, they've laid their larva. That larva then hatches into worms, which eats the internal portions of the vine and kills the plant from the inside out. If you can catch it early and you find that hole where the sawdust is, or that burrow where that mother has...
You can pull them out.
You can slice it down, surgically open it up halfway, and you can dig these worms out. It's a very unpleasant-looking, disgusting thing, but you can get a hold of it and still get squash. You can also delay your planting, do a fall planting. Also, at the time of planting, you can cover your squash with a netting. But at the time that the squash flowers, whether it's your spaghetti squash or your zucchini squash, you want to remove that netting so the bees and pollinators can get in there to pollinate it. You can also hand pollinate it if you want to do that. One plant or one squash that doesn't have this bothered by is the butternut squash, because it has such a thick, tough stalk that it doesn't. The squash vine moth is unable to burrow into them. So the telltale signs here, and whenever you see this, it's far too late. It looks like your zucchini plant, your spaghetti squash plant, your squash plant needs water. All the leaves are very wilted. It looks like it's been in like 105 degrees for a week. It looks like it's about to die. And you water it, and the next morning it looks the same. Well, the plant's already dead. It's already too far gone. That has already, the bugs or the worms, the larva has already ate so much internal portions of that plant that it can't recover. So if you can be proactive and continue to visually look at this, and that's what we do, to look at this and always rotate your crops as well. Well, one thing we have to do each week, or at least some of us do, Holly, is mow grass. And if you don't have a good piece of equipment, it makes the job so much more difficult. But Aaron's can fix that problem for you.
Do you hear that? That's your neighbor shaking in their grass-stained shoes because Aaron's is about to help you step up your grass-cutting game. Your name is on the mailbox, so the Aaron's name should be on your mower. Heavy-duty steel construction, smarter, smoother controls, professional cutting performance. The only thing we love more than the smell of freshly cut grass is a sweet taste of victory. Aaron's, it comes down to this. Visit Aaron's.com to find your local dealer for lawn and snow removal equipment.
When we come back, Emmy Award-winning writer and producer and author, co-host of the Organic Garden Radio Show out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Doug Oster will be with us talking about gardening right after this.
Tweet Joey and Holly using hashtag TWVG.
Oh, yeah. What you say? You say Nasala Kombucha. It'll put some glide in your stride and some pep in your step. Nasala Kombucha. Yeah.
Nasala Kombucha makes your body happy. Nasala Kombucha makes your body smile.
Garden seeds do not have to cost a fortune. Just 99 cents at migardener.com. With over 300 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, and organic flower, vegetable, and herb seeds available year-round, pay less and get more seeds. Shipping as low as $2.50. That just makes sense. Go to migardener.com for seeds and gardening needs, tools, and special blend fertilizer. migardener.com. It's that simple. Family owned and operated. Mantis Plant Protection Professional Grade Organic Pest Control Solutions. They offer Mantis EC concentrated or ready to use sprays. Certified organic and environmentally friendly insect killer. Gentle on pollinators and other organisms, but effective in killing soft-bodied insects and spider mites fast. Safe around your children and pets. They also have the cleanest and whitest diatomaceous earth on the market. Visit mantispp.com to receive a free organic pesticide cheat sheet, which is a list of organic insecticides that are used effectively and kills insects fast. Visit mantispp.com to download it today. Do you have a problem with deer or small herbivores eating your vegetation? There is a natural solution that is safe for your pets and family. Bobex is the answer. An environmentally friendly solution to protect your plants, will not wash off, and is guaranteed. Bobex Deer was independently tested against 9 known competitors and rated 93% effective, second only to a physical barrier. Bobex can be used on all types of ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Ask for it by name at your local independent garden center. Find out more, visit bobex.com. BOBBEX.com.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, your destination for all things gardening. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 850 some odd videos, and we're adding about 9 a week. Well, Holly, we were at the Blue Mel Spring Kickoff last week, and we had a great time. We met a lot of individuals. If we didn't meet you, we are sorry. We wish we could have. They have a number of things there, from fertilizers to plants, vegetables, and herbs. If you have a significant other that doesn't like gardening, you can have them sit in a coffee shop. They got a coffee shop on the premises, whether it's your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend with benefits, whatever you got. You can have them go and sit and drink coffee while you go look at your garden stuff. As well as if you have children, they have an enclosed playground with rubber on the ground so the kids can't get hurt, so they can play while you go shop. And where can we find all of this at, Holly? Where's Blue Mel's located?
You can find Blue Mel's at 4930 West Loomis Road in Greenfield, and the number is 414-282-4220, or you visit bluemels.com.
They will treat you
very knowledgeable, friendly staff.
They will treat you like family, and sometimes they'll talk you out of stuff that you want to buy because they know it won't work for you. Well, let's head up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Holly, to bring in our next guest.
I think that's down, actually.
Oh, okay, something like that.
So Doug Oster is the home and garden editor for the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. He's also an Emmy Award-winning producer, television host, and writer. He's the co-host of the Organic Gardeners radio show, and he's an avid backyard gardener residing in Pittsburgh.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, Doug Oster.
Good morning. Am I down or am I over from you, or where am I compared to where you're at?
I think you're just down, more like southeast.
Yeah,
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. Know you got a lot of stuff going on there with the CBS station and the radio show to join us.
I'm just working in the garden today.
Well, that's always something that's very relaxing. Well, let's talk about that. We're very high advocates and talk about the importance of organic gardening, and you are now too, but there was a time where you didn't think organic gardening was important, but then you had an aha moment in the garden. Would you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, I didn't know any better, to tell you the truth. I learned to garden from my parents and grandparents, and I didn't even think about it. But, yeah, my kids now are 28, 30, and 31, and 2 have moved out. Yes, yahoo! And, I miss them. And when they were little, I had cabbage worms really bad, and I didn't know what to do, and I called a gardening friend. He just said, just get this stuff called 7 and sprinkle it down, and you'll take care of your cabbage worms. And that's what I did, and I was, celebrating, stopping this invading force of cabbage worms, and then I looked back, and my toddler was walking barefoot right through that stuff looking for snow peas, and I was like, that can't be good. And I didn't know what 7 was. I didn't want to know what 7 was, and I started reading the back of the package, and it was like, it's a nerve toxin, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to let my kids encounter this. And that was the day I decided I was going to change the way I gardened. And that was way before the Internet, and I went to the library and read everything I could about organic gardening, and the thing that really hit me was that I thought organic gardening was something new, and everybody was an organic gardener before World War II because there were no chemical pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers.
Right, and that kind of changed the way because people saw there was money to be made, and then everybody just kind of followed along. But, that's important that we understand if we're going to use a chemical, which we don't recommend, it's important to understand what that chemical is supposed to do, and then you can decide whether or not that's something you really want or not.
Yeah, the thing was I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I killed the bad bug, but what I wasn't thinking about was that I killed all the good bugs, and I killed my soil life underneath, and those are two things that help us garden. I thought that that I was going to have this explosion of insects when I made the change, but it didn't happen that way. Nature sets up a really good balance of good and bad bugs, and 99% of the insects in the garden are either benign or good for the garden, so let's embrace them.
Now, speaking of soil, we encourage minimal soil disturbance and do not till. You follow the same practice. What are your reasons for not tilling, and why do you encourage your listeners not to till?
I tilled my garden for, probably 25 years, and it was actually my radio partner, Jessica Walliser, who was reading a book called Teeming with Microbes by Jeff Lowenfels, and she said, the theory is there's this whole network underneath the soil, and when we till it, we break it up, and it takes all season to come back together. She goes, I'm going to try this, no tilling, and just putting compost on top. And I was very skeptical, so I did the same thing. I changed half my vegetable garden to no-till and just adding compost on top. And, boy, I'll never go back now. It only took one season, and I was a no-till gardener. And, again, that's the theory, is that you're disrupting this mycorrhizal network that's under the soil. And, boy, I've just had a great garden. It's so much easier, too, just adding that compost on top. Now, these beds that I'm working on, gosh, it's been 5-6 years that I've had that going no-till, and you can stick your hand down in those beds and probably all the way down to your elbow and pick out a few earthworms.
And to give credit to Jessica Walliser, she's your co-host. She's a horticulturist expert, so that helps you a little bit on your end.
Yeah, she's the scientist and I'm the regular gardener.
Okay.
So people get the best of both worlds. And she always corrects me on all the things that I do, and I always try and correct her, but I never win.
For people who have seen your garden videos on your Facebook page as well as everybodygardens.com, many may say you have a very large garden, and you may say it's not big enough because you're a gardener. How do you get the most out of it? What methods do you use to maximize the space that you have available?
You know, I live on 4 acres, and I'm 7 miles from downtown Pittsburgh, and we can do that just because of the topography here, very hilly. And my vegetable garden's 30 by 40, which, like you said, I wish it was twice that big. But even with 30 by 40 vegetable garden, there's never enough room, and I am growing up a lot. I grow anything I can that's vining up a trellis. I actually have some bamboo up in the woods, and never plant bamboo, okay? But I've got some up there that somebody else planted, and I harvest that for building projects and make trellises and teepees and all sorts of stuff. So if it's cucumbers, melons, Malabar spinach, whatever I'm growing, I want to grow it up. So, you know, my tomatoes, too, they're growing up in cages. Try and keep everything vertical to put in as much as I can into the garden.
Well, you make a very good point. There's a guy in Atlanta, Walters. He says that don't grow bamboo. Had a friend in the town I grew up in. His dad planted bamboo in the front yard, and he even called the big chemical companies and said, "Do you have anything to kill this?" And they said no.
I got one little piece from somebody once, and he just said, "Oh, it's a clumping variety. It doesn't spread." And I looked out there today. It's all moved into my vegetable beds. It's all moved into my perennial beds. I'll never get rid of it, and I spend countless hours just cutting it down so that my other plants aren't choked out by it, and it's the bane of my existence.
So we are always learning from our followers and listeners. What is something you've learned that really stuck out to you? Maybe something you felt you should have known already but didn't.
Don't plant bamboo. You know, I learn something every day from the people that I interview, and it is the joy of what I do is meeting these people. Yesterday I spent the day with a bonsai grower, and, you know, he's been doing this for 30 years, and each place that I go to, I'll find a new plant or a new technique, a new, or sometimes they give me new enthusiasm for something. Lately, I have been obsessed with arugula, and that came from a reader that I met about 2 months ago that was growing a couple of arugulas I'd never seen before, and that's just one of the many things. And you know how it is with gardening. You go through these kind of waves of obsessions, different things, you know. For the guy I was with yesterday, bonsai, it's been 30 years, but now he's fallen in love with hostas. That's another thing I've fallen in love with is hostas. One of my readers turned me on to a hosta called Empress Wu, which is the biggest hosta out there. I'm looking at it through the window right now, and that thing is on its way to 4 feet, and maybe by the end of the season, 6 feet tall. So it's all about plants and enthusiasm and techniques. You learn every day from other gardeners, and that's the wonder of being a garden writer.
Well, with you talking about your garden and everything you have successful, what is your nemesis? What is the one plant that you just cannot grow and you're just like, okay, I'm just done trying?
Onions.
Okay.
And Jessica always says, you need to get your soil tested and get the pH right. Well, I've done that, but I've done everything you could. I grow great garlic, but I can't grow onions worth anything. I can grow little bunching onions, but I can't grow onions that head up, and I've done everything you could possibly imagine. The thing is, I don't have enough sun to really make it happen for some reason. That's my excuse anyway. And I've got the pH right. I put bulb tone in. I've planted the right type of onions. I planted plants, seeds, sets. It's just one of those things that I just can't get to grow. And as I said, I'm blaming it on not enough sun.
I think you're right, because the bulb portion of the onion begins to enlarge at a certain point that the daylight hours get to a certain light length, and then that's when the bulb begins to form. And I think that's probably a pretty good excuse why your bulbs are not forming and you're not getting good.
But I'm growing these big garlic things. That's the mystery. But I'll take the garlic because I'm a garlic fanatic.
Okay.
All right, so you've written 3 books. What are they, and where can people buy them?
I got Grow Organic, Tomato, Garlic, Basil, and Steel City Garden, which is all about black and gold. If you live in any place that has a team that's black and gold, that'll work for you too. And the best place to get them is DougOster.com. That's my name. And I'll sign it for you, send it to you, answer your questions, whatever you need.
And also on your website, you can go click under the See Doug tab, and you can go navigate and listen to your weekly garden show every week.
That's right. Every Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Our motto is, if we have to get up, you should have to get up too.
And you can catch that on podcast replay, which I do throughout the week. Well, Doug, we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day. Get back in your garden. Have a good day. And thank you for sharing some of your garden knowledge with Holly and myself and our listeners.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you for coming on.
And we'll be right back after this with your garden questions and our garden answers.
Have a gardening question? You can call into the ivorganic.com hotline at 414-444-5250 right now.
Eating natural and organic is not as expensive as it used to be, especially when you shop at Woodman's. They have aisles full of certified organic food, from fruits and vegetables to dairy products and even meat, all at great prices. They even have a huge selection of wheat-free and gluten-free items. I can come to Woodman's and get everything I need all under one roof. My name is Alicia, and I shop at Woodman's.
Do you want your next raised beds to be easy, functional, and beautiful? The Embrace helps you create the garden you've always wanted. Finally, raised beds that everyone can assemble and enjoy. No tools needed. Just slide any lumber into the Embrace corner, fill with your favorite soil mix, and you're ready to plant. Made from 100% recycled steel right here in the USA. And a portion of every sale helps to build school and community gardens all across the country. Let the Embrace help you create your next raised bed. Grow beautifully with the Embrace. Available at local garden centers and online at artofthegarden.net.
Hodgson Mill, 125 years of experience producing stone-ground organic flour and cornmeal made from premium quality whole grains. Family-owned company. Continual standards that are non-GMO, organic at the highest safety levels. Offering a wide variety of flours, pasta, baking mixes, flaxseed, and more. Even kosher and gluten-free options. Found at most local grocers like Woodman's. For more information and recipes, visit HodgsonMill.com. That's HODGSONMILL.com.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, Rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit Rootmaker.com.
I want a garden center that listens to and understands my needs.
I want to buy my gardening products from a local business with strong ties to the community.
All I want is a garden center that truly values their customers.
It seems like everyone is selling plants these days, but I'm having a hard time finding quality.
I take pride in my garden, so I want my garden center to take pride in their products.
Where will you be going for all of your gardening needs this season? Blue Mel's Garden Center. We are your answer.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show.
You're either listening to this show for a couple of reasons. One, you're either a gardener, you want to be a gardener, you know somebody who's a gardener, or you accidentally picked up a gardening magazine at your local dentist office. So you're one of those people.
With your hosts, Joey and Hallie Baird.
It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, your destination for all things gardening, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, 850 videos, short, long format, all to help you, all for free. We've got 12 minutes left in the program, and that we will fill with your questions. Where have you been for the whole show? If you're just tuning in, we had Doug Oster on. We've talked about urban planting. We've talked about 6 bad bugs in your garden. You can catch all of that on the podcast replay later this week if you missed it.
So you can call in to the Ivy Organic hotline at 414-444-5250. Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. Protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit, and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivorganics.com. We're going to use some of that today, aren't we?
Yep, we're going to use that on your cherry bush that I got you. I was going to get you clementine, but Blue Mel's had cherries, and I know you like cherries a whole lot more than we're going to get a whole lot more cherries than clementines.
Right.
So we've got a lot of questions that came in this week, and if you have a question, you can call into the ivorganics.com hotline. You can email us at twvgradio@gmail.com anytime. You can also tweet us at #TWVG. one of the questions we had this week. It actually came from one of our talks, and we felt that this was important to address. Onions to plant in the fall. We typically plant onions in March, Aprilish, and then harvest them in July, August. But there are some people who plant them in the fall, let them overwinter, and then they harvest them early in the spring.
Right. So you get the spring onions. So what you want to do, first of all, before you figure out what variety, you do want to get these started usually in about August, so that you have the onion starts, so that you can
the green
starts.
Start them from seed and get them to that green pencil type of.
And you could actually start them from seed outside, but you don't want to leave them there. You do want to transplant them, or start them inside. However you start your onion seeds. So the best kind for northern growers are immediate or day neutral onions, so midday onions.
This is different than the type of onion that you would grow in the spring. In the spring, you would grow long day onions. In the fall, you're going to grow, and over winter, you're going to grow neutral day onions. So that's the key here. So
there are varieties such as Valencia, Talon F1, Bandit Leeks, and bunching onions like Red Baron and Evergreen Hardy White. So if you live in the warmer regions, then you would do things like Walla Walla, those type of varieties.
So there you go. If you got more, if you need more explanation, we can certainly get that for you. We had another question come in on the Facebook page this week. If you just go to Facebook and search The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, you can find us and get all of our videos and a lot of information there as well.
Okay, so they had asked about residue on straw. So since we're talking about straw gardening, we talk about using straw as mulch. They said that the straw beds did not do well. They put the straw as mulch, and they said that they didn't do as well as the other beds. So we just figured they want to know if maybe because there's like pesticide residue or something else, and they pulled the straw off of their beds so that they could let them overwinter without that straw on it.
Well, typically, when growing up on the farm, we never sprayed wheat, which is what all of our straw derived from. It's the stalk of the grain in which you are turning into a bale. We never sprayed it at all. Now there are some farmers that will spray some type of pesticides on the straw. You can get certified organic straw, which is a challenge and it's expensive, but general rule of thumb, your straw is not going to harbor pesticides that will leach into the soil or the plants. 99.9% of the time your bale is going to be safe to use. You may get a fluke, and there may be other contributing factors to the reason why Krista, who wrote in with the question, had problems with her straw as well. Maybe it was too thick, maybe it wasn't thick enough. Could be a lot of variables in that. But with the potential problem of persistent herbicides on the straw, very minimal to little to no chance on that.
Okay, so then we have another question. She moved here from Florida recently.
Why did you do that?
Well,
what a shock! I mean, just environmentally, never cold, never freezes, and up here you're cold 6 months out of the year. But go ahead.
Anyway, so now she obviously knows that things are a lot different, and she moved to northern Wisconsin, so that's even probably more of a shock. Okay, so she needs to know if her rows should go east to west or north to south.
In her garden.
So in her garden when she plants.
The reason why she asked this, and some gardeners will do this, as the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, a lot of books will indicate you want to plant your rows east to west. So as the sun goes over, all the plants get even dose of sunlight, and it coats the garden evenly. And that's hard to do based on what type of garden you have, your location. There's a lot of variables. We've planted some of ours east to west, and we plant some of ours north to south. We've never seen a problem where we determined that because we planted north to south, that was the reason why a crop failure occurred, or that crop didn't produce as well as we thought it should. The only thing I would recommend or caution or be aware of is don't plant something extremely tall on the east side of something that is very short that's on the west side, because the general sun throughout the day will shade that smaller plant on the west side until it gets peak day or 3/4 of the day. Then the sun will start shining on that shorter plant. So if you plant corn next to a very short stocky plant of some variety, that can be a problem, but you want to kind of space that out whether you're east to south, north to west, or northeast to southwest, or whatever.
Even something like if you did a lot of sunflowers or sunchokes or the yacons.
Yacons, yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. We've never seen a problem, but also we are very conscious and aware of what we're planting and the shadow that it may cast on the neighboring plant and at how long that shadow will last.
Okay, so when should I plant potatoes and soil temperature? So you can plant your potatoes right now.
You can plant your potatoes now. We've planted them the first week in July and harvested them in early October. The key element to growing potatoes are two. You want good loose soil because the potato has to form the tubers underground. If it's in concrete type clay or dense soil, it's not going to work very well. Secondly, you want your soil temperature to be minimum 45 degrees Fahrenheit, preferably 50, but 45 degrees, and that is at root zone. So typically you'll dig your trench, bury your potatoes 4 to 6 inches below soil grade. You want to get a soil temperature there because if the soil is too cold or fluctuates because we've had some really warm days and then really cold days. If that potato goes below 45 degrees Fahrenheit, it will sit there and rot. If you keep it at 45 or above, it's going to keep the potato is going to grow just fine. You can plant them right now. We planted most of our potatoes last week. You can find that video on the website. It's a different type of formatted video that we put out on Tuesday, and it was strictly all about potatoes, everything you need to know about potatoes, and also some potato planting if you have long sprouted potatoes as well. But yeah, 45 degrees, plant them now. We don't have to worry about it here in Wisconsin, but if the soil temperature at root zone exceeds 85 degrees Fahrenheit, the potato is going to die. So if, like desert type of temperatures, that's what we have to worry about. But right now you can plant them, and potatoes will take 50 to 90 days on the early, mid varieties 90 to 110, and the late varieties up to 135 days. So based on the variety that you're planting, you can space these out and have harvest all through the summer months. To go that way.
Okay, so somebody wants to know, I was thinking of using black landscape fabric. Not sure if you can use it by veggies. And that is perfectly fine.
You can use it. There's plastic landscape fabric, and there's fabric or a plastic type of landscape fabric that you can use on your veggies. The only thing that I would recommend is look, if you're going to go that route, it's not something we would recommend. We would recommend mulch. If you go that route, look at how thickly woven that fabric is. If it's plastic, water's not going to permeate through. You're going to have to either put an irrigation system under that plastic. Sometimes the landscape fabric has, they're porous enough that water can go through, and you'll cut your holes, you'll plant your plants. That's up to you. They do have some of these plastics that these organic urban farmers or these farmers use that are biodegradable. They'll till it in and it'll break down. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just you want to be aware that making sure that you're watering your plants correctly.
Okay, and then this one is, I have a medium-sized walk-in greenhouse. I raise monarch butterflies, so they're getting the milkweed ready. I'd like to plant my own tomatoes, cucumbers, leafy greens, all sorts of items here. So we can start with the cucumbers and tomatoes. Those you would not want to put outside quite yet.
No, you want to wait until probably Memorial Day weekend would be the ideal time to to start your tomatoes, or your cucumbers or bush beans or anything like that outdoors. That would be. Keep that in mind.
And then they want to do lettuce, or especially lettuce or leafy greens.
And we talked about that earlier. We want to wait until fall to do lettuce.
Yeah, and then squash. But squash probably wouldn't do so well in a greenhouse because it needs room to grow.
And pollination is a key here. Even though the butterflies will pollinate some things, we do want to keep that in mind, that we want to have pollination occur naturally instead of having to go in there and do it ourselves. So that being said, again, you can email us with any of your questions. Come anytime that you have a problem, use email twvgradio@gmail.com. That will work. Programming note for next week, we're going to talk about 5 summer crops in which you can grow in your garden from seed that is extremely easy. Keyword extremely. 4 planting tips on tomatoes. So you can do it right now, and you can get a very good harvest in August, as well as Mike Novak from MikeNovak.net. He is the host of the Mike Novak Show with Peggy Malecki out of Chicago, 20-year veteran of garden radio. And this show is made possible by the sponsors in which pay the bills so we can come to you every Saturday morning.
Nasala Kombucha is the executive sponsor of the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show. Nasala is made in Wisconsin with local tea and natural herbs. Look for it in the refrigerator aisle at your local grocer. If you don't see it, ask for it, because if it's not Nasala Kombucha, it's not kombucha. Find out more at nasala.com.
Missed any portion of this show or want to revisit past shows, visit the radio tab on the website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, for podcast replays and in-studio video. Until next week,
Holly Baird.
And I'm Joey Baird, and we will see you in the garden.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5, Milwaukee.